comics in 1972, and I graduated UCI, University of California, Irvine, in 1971, and was sort of looking for something to do that would keep me in Laguna. Lynn Chevley owned Fahrenheit 451 bookstore. She had recently separated from her husband, and he had left her with the bookstore and all its debts. And so she sold the bookstore, and she had a little left over, and she was interested in making comic books to counteract the Zaps and the other underground comic books out of San Francisco. And we didn't know anybody up there. We didn't have any professional affiliation with any of the other cartoonists or publishers. But we figured, well, if they can do a comic, we can do a comic. So, and I knew a little bit about production because I'd gone to art center school. So we decided to do the comic. I kind of knew how to do it. We bought the paper, we started getting ideas, and we were going to do bad things to men like the men were doing bad things to women back then in the comic books, and found that we could not think up a serious story with any heft to it because it's not the kind of thing we do. We didn't want to get even. And then we realized that we had a lot of anger, and we decided to put it to use with stories. There were lots and lots of stories about how women felt about sexuality and sex that had not been particularly written down. I think women had started writing books about this, but I was not familiar with any of them, and I don't think they were in comic book form. And we were answering this comic book format where they were slicing off breasts and doing just horrible things. So we did a comic. We didn't know what to call it, and we were trying to think up names. And I was the one that came up with the idea for Tits and Clits. It rhymes. It's fun. It's after we published it, we had lots of people come up and ask us what clits were. So we were educational in our way, and we just had an unending, seemed like at that time, an unending series of stories. There were stories about using birth control and stories about pregnancy and fear of pregnancy and the pill, and the first issue of Tits and Clits, I think, it left a lot to be desired in that the artwork was pretty bad, and the story ideas were good, but we didn't even know how to finish a story. We got to an end of a story and we'd just write to be continued because we didn't know what else to do. So we weren't writers. We didn't know how to phrase a story, so it had a beginning, middle, and end, and stories really do need that. Our work was getting reactions from people that we never intended in a million years. And we thought that Ms. Magazine would love us and that we could print in the women's publications because we thought what we were saying was unique to women and interesting, and not all of it, because I don't think there's any women's publication back then that would have wanted to print what we did with, say, sex orgies. But the stuff about menstruation and pregnancy and birth control use and things like that, the fears of women, stuff like this, it's just silly. It's just crazy stuff. But women really, if they thought about it, they got it. But just an awful lot of people didn't like what we were doing. Yeah. I think I'm pretty proud of Tits and Clits at this point because it took me a long time to understand what we did. We were just two angry young women, not even that young, we were both in our 30s. We were two angry women telling it how it was. And I didn't realize that this was important so much. I mean, we had a feeling that it was important, but nobody was getting it. And now we're getting scholars to talk to us. I'm getting interviewed right here in my own home. This is a big treat. And yeah, we didn't quite understand. I think Tits and Clits is important, and I think it's only going to get more important.